Algebra 1, the very last method of multiplying polynomials that we didn't get to was FOIL. So the FOIL method works for binomials only. Binomials mean that each of the polynomials only has 2 terms. So if one of the polynomials has more than 2 terms, you cannot use this method. Alright, so the way the FOIL method works, it's an acronym, so that means each letter stands for something. F means first terms. You're going to multiply the first terms of the equation. O means outside terms. I means inside terms. And L means last terms. Okay, so let's go ahead and FOIL this example. So remember, F means the first term. So you'll look here and there's a little arrow so you can see the first 2 terms of each binomial, and you're going to multiply them. So here we're multiplying 3x by 2x. 3 times 2 is 6, and x times x is x squared. So we get 6x squared. The outer terms are the 2 terms on the outside. Remember, you need to keep that -8. Keep that subtraction sign with it. So 3x times -8 is going to give me a -24x. All right, my inside terms, 4 and 2x. 4 times 2x gives me 8x. And then my last terms, 4 times -8. And that's going to give me -32. So you can see where we got each of these numbers. All right, then all we did was take each of these terms and write them out as an expression. All right, I don't know how to with my 3, but whatever. All right, so you'll notice -24x and 8x are like terms. They both have an x raised to the first power. So we can actually combine those. -24 plus 8 gives me -16. So here's my final answer, 6x squared minus 16x minus 32. Alright, so let's go ahead and do some practice. I'm going to do the first one with you. Alright, so the first one, first, outer, inner, last. Alright, my first term. My first term is going to be 2x times -x. 2x and -x are my first terms. So that's going to give me a -2x squared. 2 times -1 gives me a -2, and x times x gives me x squared. Alright, my outer. My outer is 2x and 8, because it's on my outside. So 2x times 8 is going to give me 16x. My inner terms are the 2 terms closest to each other on the inside. -1 times -x. A -1 times a -1 is going to give me a +1, so I'm just going to have a +1x. -1 times -x gives me a +x. And then my last 2 terms, -1 times 8, which gives me a -8. Alright, so here's my expression. I'm going to go ahead and write it like I do an actual expression. I'm going to write it horizontally instead of vertically. Alright, so I've got 2x squared plus 16x, and I know it's a plus because that 16 is positive. Each of these terms is going to be separated by a plus or minus sign. If they're positive terms, they're separated by a plus. If they're negative terms, they're separated by a minus sign. Alright, so this gives me a polynomial with 4 terms, but I know that I have like terms. This 16x and x are like terms, so I can add them together. So 2x squared plus 17x minus 8. Alright, number 2. First, outer, inner, last. Alright, go ahead and identify the first terms of this, these 2 binomials. What are the first terms? Alright, 3x times 2x, which gives me 6x squared. My outer 2 terms are 3x times -4 which will give me a negative 12x. And then my two inner terms. 7 times 2x, which is 14x. And then 7 times negative 4 are my last terms, which gives me negative 28. So here's my expression. I just need to write it horizontally. 6x squared minus 12x plus 14x minus 28. So if you've been noticing that our two middle terms are always like terms, that will definitely be the case when you have binomials set up like this with a variable in the front and a constant in the back. Alright, so simplifying, I'm going to combine the coefficients. So negative 12 plus 14. Negative 12 plus 14. That gives me plus 2x minus 28. So there's my final answer there. Alright, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try number 3 on your own. This is what I got when I multiplied out all the different terms, so go ahead and check your work right now by pausing the video and see if you got the same answers as me. Once you confirm that, go ahead and write all of these terms as a simplified expression. Alright, here's what I got for my final answer. I have my 3x squared, and then I combined my 3x and my negative 15x to give me a negative 12x for my middle term, and then my constant is negative 15. Go ahead and pause the video and try number 4 on your own. Remember, it's extremely important for you to try these things on your own. Normally, if we'd be in a face-to-face setting, I would be having everybody try on their own in the classroom, and I'd walk around and sort of see what you were doing. But since I can't do that, I'm relying on you guys to actually pause the video, attempt the problem on your own, and then check your work. It's okay to get things wrong, I promise. It's not the end of the world. Alright, here's what I got for number 4. Go ahead and check your work and see if you have the same answer as me. Alright, now that we've learned all 3 methods, the box method, the distributive method, and the FOIL method, you get to choose what works for you and which method you prefer. The only limitation you have is with the FOIL method. That's binomials only. But distributive and box method you can do with any kind of polynomial. So what I want you to do is pause the video and try number 5 with any method you want. I'm actually going to use box method just to review box method, but you try whatever you want. You should get the same answer as me. I used box method here, so I drew a box with 4 squares because I've got 2 binomials. So I put this first one on this side, 2x and 6, and then I put the second binomial up top. It doesn't matter which one you put on the side and which one you put up top. As long as you're multiplying correctly, you're fine. Alright, so 2x times 4x gives me 8x squared. 2x times negative 2 gives me negative 4x. 4x times 6 gives me 24x. And 6 times negative 2 gives me negative 12. So when I combine them all together, because this is my polynomial in the boxes, I get 8x squared plus 20x. The 20x comes from combining these like terms. 24 minus 4 gives me 20. And then my constant is here, negative 12. So here's my final answer. No matter what method you chose, you should have gotten that. Alright, for number 6, I want you to use your preferred method to solve this. You could use box, distributive method, or FOIL method. I'm going to use distributive just to remind us about that, but you use anything you want. So with this one, I broke up, remember, break one, take one. So I broke up this first one, 5x and 1, and then I took the second one. So 5x times 3x minus 2, 1 times 3x minus 2. And I distributed whatever was on the outside of each of those terms. So 5x times 3x gives me 15x squared. 5x times negative 2 gives me negative 10x. And then I move over here and distribute the 1. 1 times 3x is 3x. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. I see that I have a pair of like terms, so 15x squared minus 7x minus 2. I got the minus 7 because a negative 10 plus 3 gives me a negative 7. So whatever method you use, you should have gotten the same thing as me. If you didn't, go back and check your work. Alright, that is it for me. Don't forget to watch the study guide and take notes on that study guide and send me pictures of it for recovery grade. Alright, good luck studying, and I'll see you Monday.